good afternoon. Welcome back after a short break. Thank you very much for investing your time with us. My name is Kisan Kharka, and I'm working with National Environment and Equity Development Society, NEETS Nepal, and currently associated with Transboundary River of South Asia project in Mahakali Basin. I am moderating the first session on water governance, policies, practice in Ganga, Brahmaputra-Salween, context in land use and basin management. Today, we have a special guest to share with us. It is my honor to introduce Mr. Jyotiraj Patra. He is currently working with the Project Management Unit Oxfam, based in Cambodia, passionate about natural resource rights and partnership. I would like to request Mr. Jyotiraj Patra to chair this session. Please turn on your camera so people can see you. Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Raj. Today, we have four powerful presentations with us from four different countries. Ms. Kesari Tiwari from Nepal on water governance, policies and practices in Mahakali Basin. Another, Mr. Sovi Chepe from India, water governance in Ganga Brahmaputra Basin. And Mr. John Bright from Myanmar, youth engagement in water. Sorry, wait a moment, Raj. Kamalji, can you please help me to unmute Raj? Hello. Now. All good, Raj? Now you can.
Yeah, thanks, Kishan. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, we have a very powerful presentation from Myanmar too. Mr. Sojan Bright from Myanmar, youth engagement in water governance, and Ms. Nuzat Noori from Bangladesh, youth and water, followed by special remarks from Ms. Minni Sally and Ms. Anu Botra. So I would like to, before we begin to the presentation, I would like to highlight major objective of the session is to identify different policies adopted by the government to address issues of transboundary communities. As you all are aware about ground rules, so I don't want to go on that. So with this, I would like to call our first presenter, Ms. Kesari Tiwari from Nepal. She is an environmentalist and researcher with master thesis on transboundary water governance in Mahakali Basin. She is exploring the perception of youths from Bangladesh, India, and Nepal on water pollution and management, and looking into the national and international policies which address the river pollution and its management. Kesari ji, over to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kisan sir. Am I audible?
Yeah, you are audible.
Is my screen visible now?
I can see your screen. Now visible. Now I can see your screen.
Okay. Good afternoon, Honorable Conference Chair, Chief Guest, and the session chair, and everyone present here. In this session, I am going to share my knowledge on water governance policies, practice in Mahakali Basin, which I have gained through my master's thesis on transboundary water governance in context of Mahakali River Basin, which was supervised by Dr. Deep Naran Shah and co-supervised by Dr. Ramesh Rajpan, and also the information gained through the involvement in PROSA project in Winter School on inclusive water governance, as well as through the lens of the Youth Basin Ambassador of the GBM Basin of PROSA program. Talking about the Mahakali River Basin, Mahakali River is one of the principal tributaries of Ganga Basin. It forms the western boundary between Nepal and India in most of the regions. In Nepal side, Mahakali River Basin covers the Darchula, Baitari, Dareldura, and Kanchanpur districts of Sudur Paschim Pradesh, and in India side, it covers the Pithoragarh, Bageshwar, Champaut, and partially Almora, Nainital, Udhamsil, Nagar districts of Uttarakhand state, and its still parts cover some of the portion of Uttar Pradesh state. Now talking about the bilateral agreements that has been taken place between India and Nepal till now regarding the use of Mahakali River. It started from 1920 by signing the agreement on the Sarda irrigation barrage between the British government in United Province in India and the Rana regime in 1920 for the purpose of utilizing surplus water of the river and to prevent it from being waste. And then the Tanakpur Agreement 1991, it comes after the decades of the Sarda Agreement in December 1987, after the unilateral construction activities of Tanakpur Barrage in India started to submerge and erode Nepal territory. And after the consequences, Nepal raised the concern and claimed its rights on the river. Then in 1991, Memorandum of Understanding was signed between India and Nepal in Tanakpur Agreement with the exchange of certain quantum of power and water for irrigation in the lieu of land to be made available. And experts from Nepal viewed this agreement as the consequences of hydrohegemony rather than mutuality. And after to solve these controversies of Tanakpur Agreement and to take the cooperation to new era, a bilateral treaty on the integrated development of Mahakali River was signed in February 1996 by India and Nepal. And now talking about the Transboundary Water Resource Management Principles and going detail about the Mahakali Treaty 1996 and International Water Law. United Nations Convention on International Water Course 1997, which was already mentioned by the Remy sir in previous session, is a global legal framework on the transboundary water governance, but none of the South Asian countries are parties to this legal framework. However, some of the experts consider the Mahakali Treaty as a framework treaty because it includes the general principles of the transboundary water governance that is also mentioned in United Nations Convention 1997, which is shown in the table. Principles of the United Nations Convention 1997 is the reasonable and equitable utilization, not to cause significant harm, cooperation and information exchange, notification, consultation and negotiation, and another one is peaceful settlement of disputes. And the Mahakali treaties of Article 3, 7, 8, and 9 includes somewhere talks about the equitable utilization, and Article 7, 8, 9 talks about the not to cause significant harm, and the preamble and Article 6, 9, and 10 of the Mahakali Treaty talks about the cooperation and information exchange, while Article 6 and 9 of the Mahakali Treaty talks about the notification, consultation, and negotiation, and Articles 9 and 11 talks about the peaceful settlement of disputes, though the Article 11 of the treaty provides relatively elaborate and advanced dispute resolution mechanisms that are in conformity with the UNWC mechanism of dispute settlement provided under Article 33, and also provide provision to review the treaty in every 10 years interval or whenever the party feels necessary through Article 12 Clause 3, despite of having numerous issues to be discussed and renegotiated, there's no any sign of its implementation yet, though the 2 decades have already passed. And there are many drawbacks on the Mahakali Treaty, and some of them are, though the word integrated is used in the Mahakali Treaty, but it is only focused on the project base, like the integration of Pancheshwar multipurpose project, Tanakpur and Sarda Barrage, and the integrated basin management approach is excluded here and neglecting the multilateral agreements too. And another is the ignorance of ecological criteria. Ecological criteria is not given preference while signing the treaty. Many pertinent questions were raised regarding the environmental and social consequences of Pancheshwar multipurpose project. And though the equitable word is used, but have not considered all the relevant factors that need to be considered and mentioned in the Article 6 of the UN Convention 1997 while developing the treaty, and also through the Article 7, 8, and 9 mention about the principle not to cause significant harm in the Mahakali Treaty, but still there the term no harm and adverse effect is not clearly defined in the treaty. And another major big reason for delay in the implementation of the treaty is exclusionary governance practice, which was also already mentioned by the honorable chair, conference chair, ma'am, as riparian communities and local governments and the local institution plays the major role in the implementation and sustainability of the treaty. But in the context of Nepal and also in the South Asian region, the decision is taken at the national level, ignoring the voices of the riparian communities. So it is also the major challenge to implement the treaties. And now talking about the ground-root initiatives or achievement at the Mahakali River Basin, it has been also told by the Krishna sir at the first session. Some of the initiatives and achievements are the formation of women empowerment centers, formation of youth network working on the river and conservation practice on the Mahakali River Basin, and Mahakali Dialogue and Dhangari Declaration is a very good example of coordination between the local institutions and local governments moving together for the protection of the river, and role of the institutions and ongoing work on the Mahakali River at grassroots level will be discussed in the detail in the upcoming sessions too. Now moving on to the way forward for achieving good transboundary water governance. How to achieve good transboundary water governance? We have to develop the framework in a such way that the principles of the good governance should be incorporated, like cooperation, sustainability, transparency, predictability, and accountability. For the cooperation and sustainability is achieved through the inclusion of the general principles of transboundary water governance that are equitable and reasonable utilization, not to cause significant harm, and protection and conservation of ecosystem. This should be included in such a way that there is the clear provision on how to incorporate, how to implement in the ground level too. And for achieving the transparency, predictability, and accountability, we must include the provision of notification and information exchange, environmental impact assessment, public participation, and access to justice. And to achieve all this, we must have the political will and the commitment from the nation. Also, with this, I would like to end my session. Thank you so much for providing me this opportunity. Over to you, Kishan sir.
Thank you very much, Ms. Kesari Tiwari. Thank you very much once again for your insightful presentation. Thank you very much for highlighting the bilateral agreement and treaties that has been done in Mahakali River and highlighting the gaps as well. And Dhangari Declaration and Mahakali Samvad is one of the best example for coordination, cooperation between two countries. Thank you very much once again for highlighting these. With this, we have another very interesting presentation from India. I would like to request Mr. Sovit Chepe. He's currently working as a lead and implementing the program in India. He has been working on transboundary water governance since last 2 years. He has been associated with transboundary water governance as a both researcher and a practitioner. As a researcher, he looked at the management of civil society of Ganga River and between India and Nepal. With this, I would like to request Mr. Sovit Chepe for his presentation. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Kishan. And thank you to all the esteemed guests and the session and the day chair. I would be presenting today on our experiences of water governance in the Ganga and Brahmaputra basin. So by Ganga I mean the Mahakali or the Sharda basin, which forms a part of the Ganga basin at large. So as a background, I would like to share the locations that we were working. We were working in the Sharda basin and the Salbhanga and Brahmaputra basin. So Salbhanga and Brahmaputra basins are located in Assam, and the Salbhanga basin, the Sharda basin is located in UP. Our focus among the various aspects, our focus is on early warning dissemination, fisheries management, water quality, that is including private sector engagement, inland water trade and navigation, and local governance. So how do we do it? I'm going to be talking about a part of our work, which is the Water Governance Collective Action Network. The idea is to form a network of grassroots civil society organizations youth and women leaders, practitioners, and citizen science volunteers for proactive engagement on water governance. This network aims at inclusive and informed transboundary water governance in the South Asian region, emphasizing last mile structures that need to be strengthened. So in the WGCAN portal, we have a website and a mobile app, and this is the part of the digital engagement that we do through blogs, discussions, assistance in data collection under the citizen science approach, and support for early warning message dissemination. The idea is to facilitate collective action, and I believe this is also for the overall TROSA project. This is also one of our strategies, that we facilitate collective action. And as it has come up through the previous presentation and Mr. Kinna's presentation, collective action and cooperation is one of the ways to go forward for transboundary water governance. So what we are trying to do is we are trying to contribute to the strengthening of the capacity of river basin communities and civil society to influence transboundary water resource management. Now, as I explained, we have two parts in the portal. One is the app and one is the website. So under the app, we use the citizen science tools to strengthen the last mile structures, to give the science back to the communities, and to get knowledge generation done from there. So we have water quality, water level, and fisheries tools under citizen science, and it is a basic app that is available on Play Store, and the volunteers, we register the volunteers from backend, and they can use the app to upload the data. Then under the website, one of our flagship tools is the Adhikarvani platform, under which we send out voice messages to people regarding early warning dissemination, as well as as well as the information on government schemes. So as most of you might be able to understand, Adhikar means rights and Vani means voice. So the idea is to amplify the voice of people for the protection of their rights. We have in this, we have been able to take audios from various government departments, including local DDMAs and state disaster management authorities, and we also have messages on development schemes. The key approaches that we use in this whole TROSA project in India is one is collective action. Then next we have inclusion at the core, low cost, low tech solutions, last mile capacity development, strengthening people to people ties, and taking a transboundary approach. And the WGCAN network, as well as the online and the offline portals, both kind of are exemplary to these key approaches. And as TROSA does in all of its work, we try to aim at a basin-wide approach. Now, using the WGCAN and our different strategies, we have been able to see some change, and we are pushing to get more of it done. For example, between India and Bhutan, the communities and villagers have come together, shown us that cooperation is possible at the border, as it is claimed outside that it is all doom and gloom. It is not the case. Communities at the border are always eager to cooperate, that we have seen. We have WhatsApp messages coming from Bhutan regarding the water level information, or a flood-like situation that is forming in the upstream. They communicate that to the people downstream, and the people downstream are much more prepared. We've also had 3 women among these 41 Indian women recognized as water champions by UNDP. These 3 women have been key to our work in the project area. Other than that, we've also had some publications like the Environmental Change through Participation, in which we have published a case study. What were our key challenges? Since we've started implementing the WGCAN, the collective action approach through the portal, we've been hit by the COVID pandemic, and the second wave of the pandemic has been much more devastating for India, as it has been for most places in the world. there is a volatile regulatory environment in India, including the change in the FCRA laws, and we also face these regulatory problems in terms of message dissemination, wherein the authority has now come up with new rules. This is all done in order to protect the customers, but since our work is a little different, it impacts our work differently. Then integration and transboundary level, we have been aiming at it, but that has been a little challenging because of different systems, government systems, different technical systems. So that has been a little bit of a challenge for us. What has worked well for us is the citizen science approach, as Rajan Bhai would also be able to talk about. The citizen science approach has been very fruitful for our work. Then as I said before, collective action. This has been key to us getting some of these works done under TROSA. Access to information, Adhikar Vani's key driver is access to information, and assuring that people have access to the correct information has been one of our focus. So all the messages that go out to people are through credible sources such as government officials, or even if they are not through government officials, they are taken directly as much as possible verbatim from the government orders. Then there is the transformative leadership framework. Sorry, I've written it wrong here. This is the transformative leadership framework, wherein we are trying to push for more leadership in the communities itself, rather than us going there and saying that, oh, do this, or we should do that, or this thing looks good. We try to form leaders. We try to I'm sorry for the usage of the wrong words. We try to see who are the leaders in the community and help them work with the transboundary water governance phenomenon. Then there is the women leadership that I've talked about in the previous slide. 3 women from TROSA have been selected as water champions. Our future plans are, we want to hand over this system to the government. This is a part of our idea of sustainability of the initiative, so that this information reaches to people directly through the government too. The government has its own channels, but what we have seen is that this low-cost, low-tech solution that we built is a good tool that can reach out to people. So we are in talk with a few of the government departments listed here in Assam and Uttar Pradesh. And the next idea is also to collaborate with other stakeholders, such as the Central Institute of Fisheries Research, Central Inland Fisheries Research Institute, through which we can improve our citizen science tools. We can go into research and similar ideas. Then we also aim to hand over the network to a basin level CSO network, the portal to a basin level CSO network, wherein the network will have kind of the responsibility to take care of it. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Suvit, for your insightful presentation. And it was great to know about the initiative that has been done in Mahakali Basin to promote sustainable transboundary water governance, like WGCAN citizen science approach is one of the great example of community participation in building up operation. And then another thing, it is very important to hand over all initiatives that has been done for the sustainability approach. Thank you very much, Mr. Suvit, for highlighting such things. Thank you very much. With this, we have another presentation from Myanmar, Mr. Sojan Bright. He is serving as a program manager in water governance program with the Karen Environmental and Social Action Network. His research and policy advocacy work focus on fostering inclusive, informed, accountable, and equitable community-based natural resources governance in local and regional levels. I would like to request Mr. John for his presentation. John, you want me to share your presentation?
Hello, yes, please. Can you please share my presentation?
I can, just a minute.
Thank you.
Is it okay?
Oh yes, I can see it now. So thank you very much. Hello everyone. Good to see you all doing well here in this international conference. My name is John from KISAN, Korean Environmental and Social Action Network, as Water Governance Program Manager. Today, I want to talk about youth engagement in water governance in the context of Dollar Lake in Karen State, Myanmar, and in transboundary context. So here in this map, you can see the yellow one here circled by the red color is where Dollar Lake is situated in Karen State in Myanmar, the very downstream community of the Salween River. And also this is the drone photo of Dollar Lake during the rainy season. Next, please. So to give you a bit of background, KISAN is a community-based organization working in local, national, regional, and international level. And we are focused in working to increase livelihood security and advocate for the rights of indigenous community. In our water governance strategy, it is not just a youth program, but involving them from the start and to the whole water governance process. So it is about inclusion, decision-making, and leadership of young people in every stage of community-based water governance processes, such as designing, implementation, and monitoring of policy and decision-making in the context of local and also transboundary water governance. So what we do is we equip youth to influence water governance policies, institutions, and practices. And we also create opportunity for them in communities to engage in water governance issues. And we support youth-led movement toward a more inclusive, informed, and accountable water governance. Next, please. So in doing these things, I like to highlight a few, some of our achievements. So in our water governance program, we were able to create space and opportunities for our young people in community action research. We provide education opportunities and activities, and also in lake management works and in leadership engagement. For example, we have youth groups monitor fishing activities like fishery practices, whether this is properly engaged with traditional knowledge or not. And also youth groups are responsible to operate water gates that are connected between the lake, the Dollar Lake, and the Salween River, which is very important for water management for farming and also flood control. Young people also lead, to celebrate World Environment Day and International Rivers Day, like in every year in March 14, and also do tree planting activities. And these are organized by the young community leaders. Moreover, even in these difficult times, they were able to lead and conduct biodiversity research in Dollar Lake community. So this is a kind of community action research based on the idea of research for development. Throughout managing these whole research works, young people learn how to plan for a research project and how to design a research methodology and how to develop questions in order to respond to a particular research topics. And they also learn how to inform the community livelihood action plans with these research findings in community-based water governance process. Next, please. Another highlight is that we have stronger voices of youth in decision-making in water governance policies, institution, and practices. We have 30% of youth involvement in lake management committee. We also have young community learning facilitators helping monitoring development activities in Dollar Lake. And we also work with Korean Student Network Group in order to engage with young people in the border area, in the Thai-Burma border area, in refugee communities, so that they are also involved in these water governance processes. We will also engage with youth leadership development and movement in river basin and regional level. We were able to continue our works with basin-wide youth groups in Save the Salween network. Even during the difficult time at the moment, we have the military taking control over the country, and we also have COVID-19 challenges. Even in this difficult time, we were able to continue our works. It is important for us to stay connected, to stay strong and operating, even during this challenging period, so that we can continue working in solidarity for a good water governance. We also work with youth network in Asia Pacific Network of Environmental Defenders, AP and ED. Advocating in UN business and human rights platforms and policies regarding private sector engagement in water governance. We also work with regional academic research institutions, such as like in CSDS, Center for Social Development Study in Chulalongkorn University in Bangkok, and International Water Management Institute, and Chiang Mai University, RCSD. And to highlight one thing is that one of our youth just recently got a scholarship in Mahidol University for his master's study in human rights and democratization. And his research topic is mainly focused in human rights and hydropower development in the Salween River. So this is a great achievement for our engagement with youth and education in water governance in particular. And we also have another female potential candidate coming up. Yes, we are waiting for that. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. For the challenges. For the challenges, we do have a lot of challenges, of course, at this moment. Now we have a limited space for civil society because we have military ruling the country, taking over the country. It is challenging for young people with their education opportunities and to create space for them to develop. And youth are also one of the vulnerable population in the context of violent conflict and displacement in our place, and also climate change issues on the ground. And KSN is trying to understand more of their needs on the ground and come up with adaptable strategies to really engage with young people in this difficult political context. And donor organizations also need to understand these contexts and dynamic and how it is important to invest in youth movements, in youth projects, as young people can do a lot of things in difficult times. Very crucial for us to show that at this moment that youth succeed, because for them to now be successful in difficult time gains huge respect in the eyes of the elders. So when elders recognize youth achievements, their talents, their ideas, and then leading to increased mutual respect between elders who are willing to hand over the leadership in the communities to younger generation, and then youths who will be receptive to traditional knowledge from elders who respect them. So this creates motivation, inspiring for youth in traditional knowledge. And these are important things for leadership and inclusion when engaging with youth in water governance. Next, please. So this is my final presentation, final slide, talking about our way forward. So what do we do next? So in our current context, we have difficult situation, but we are coming up with adaptable strategies in our context, because now it is important to continue doing these civil society engagement and youth empowerment and all these activities, even we have difficult situation. So we have youth engagement in community learning center to create more learning and engagement opportunities in the community. And we will continue engaging with river basin youth networks, because it is important to stay connected, engage in even in different current difficult political environments. And we will work with knowledge, co-production of knowledge with regional research institutions, which we've been doing many years already, for evidence-based advocacy in policy institution and platforms in different levels to engage in water governance in transboundary and national levels. And we will also work more to understand youth identities, the intersectionalities, and their role in combating climate change, peace, and conflict-related issues in water governance. So this is all for now with my presentation. Thank you for your attention. Look forward to have question and answer and discussions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. John, for highlighting the initiatives that have been done in Salween Basin. It was great to know about that you are working on a multiple water resource conservation and initiated a new idea of engaging youth by creating a space and opportunity to conserve water resources. Thank you very much once again. And with this, we have another very interesting presentation from Bangladesh, Ms. Nuzhat Noori. She's working as a project officer at Oxfam in Bangladesh for the last 3 years. She has been associated with TOSA, a project where she has been working closely with riverine communities of Bangladesh in terms of women engagement. I would like to request you for the presentation. Over to you, Ms. Nuzhat.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Kishanji. My name is Nuzhat Noori. I'm working as a project officer at Oxfam in Bangladesh for the last 3 years. So, okay. I hope you can, everyone see my screen. Okay. So today I'd like to share start my presentation by sharing the picture of this young girl. She lives in this island. It's not very long that she, along with her family, had to move back here since her houses and her lands, her livelihood have been impacted due to erosion. And the reason behind sharing this picture with every one of you is that give you all a food for thought that when thinking of any water governance policies, how often do we imagine a youth like her? So with this thought, I would like to continue my presentation throughout. So why we are talking about the role of youth in water governance? As I have mentioned, youth are, as you have seen in the picture, youth are one of the impacted groups of any water governance related decisions, in this case erosion in the earlier picture. And so that's why they also need to take care of these water resources, making them one of the key stakeholders. So youth integration in water governance is absolutely necessary. And secondly, we know the concept of water governance is very comprehensive. It's not only about sharing water resources. It's not only about water or lakes or rivers. It's about its people, its culture, its surrounding social environment and everything. But what is the current standing or standing of this youth generation on the overall comprehensive concept? Because without having a better conceptual clarity from the youths, we cannot expect any better from them as well, because some of them are going to lead in water governance sector. And thirdly, and very importantly, is that water governance is a very complex process. The way it has been managed from earlier generation, it has direct impact on the future generation. So youths need to be integrated at a very early stage. So they can grow up as a future custodian of water resources. In case of river, at present, the way river health and its surrounding environment has been impacted due to pollution, sediment, we need to engage youths, as well, so that they, grow up as a responsible custodian of rivers as well. So another most important point is that in terms of shared resources, connectivity is very important. especially when we are sharing resources with our neighboring countries. The way, water resources have been managed for years, there has been misunderstanding among us. But, we need to develop empathy towards each other. This is an example of a river camp, which was held earlier pandemic in Bangladesh, where lots of youths from South Asia, India, and Nepal joined together. They took part in this camp organized by Oxfam in Bangladesh. They did field trips. They went to the riverine communities. They took part in research, capacity building sessions. But most importantly, what they developed throughout this workshop was the friendship, which is very important, especially in terms of shared water resources. So, in terms of, to ensure, transboundary cooperation, we need to develop a generation of, empathetic water leaders so that they can work in, more, cooperative way. So that's why the role of youth is very important in water governance. Now I'm talking about what is the current situation? What is the space of youth in water governance practices? Do they have their say? Answer is very obvious. They rarely have their say or voice in water governance practices. For example, I can cite an example of fishing ban policy in Bangladesh. You can imagine a scenario when a fishing ban is imposed. Fisher folks are not allowed to catch fishes during that period of time, and during that time, their children also gets impacted, and they don't get enough food, nutrition. Their education is being hampered. During that time, we often even found that some of the fisher folks have married their daughters off at a very early age. So we also have seen that during that time, government of Bangladesh provides these fisher folk a certain provision like rice. But is this enough? Even though these youth are one of the impacted groups, and do they have their say in designing such kind of fishing policy, or designing or receiving such compensation packages during the fishing ban? This is the same case in erosion as well, as you have seen in the earlier pictures of this young girl. And she has been living in such a situation where sanitation is an issue, hygiene is an issue for her. But in terms of receiving financial assistance in terms of any disaster or any erosion, do we consider the needs of youth, their education? We hardly see any schools in this kind of island. So we need to think about giving a space of youth in water governance practices. So what can be done in terms of giving a space for youth in water governance practices? We can have very important point is obviously we have to give them a platform along with CSOs need to come along with us. Government needs to give them a platform, but also we need to remember that we need to think about the rural youths as well, who directly belong to the riverine communities or the communities whose livelihood is dependent on these water resources. Secondly, it's very important to assess the gaps of the youths and provide capacity building sessions, both the rural and urban youths. Also, another important point is, integrating water governance concept. Since it's a very comprehensive concept, it needs to be integrated in earlier education so that youths can have a better, stronger, conceptual clarity about this concept. And very importantly, we need to invest in those youths, especially on, young professional leaders, even women professionals, some young activists, some researchers is very important. We need to allocate more investment. Now, I'll talk about what Oxfam has been doing in terms of youth engagement. As an international humanitarian organization, Oxfam tries to empower the vulnerable communities in terms of access and control on water resources. So our youth have been part of grassroots advocacy as well, which has really worked well. We have seen that in the times of pandemic, these youth have been connected with the riverine communities and provided us some useful information about the communities in the times of pandemic as well. And it's very important point, sustaining any initiatives in water governance as well. Our youth have been part of research as well. We have been, providing mentorship to some young researchers for advocacy in water governance sector, and capacity building, also provided capacity building sessions for them, like once in river camp I mentioned. Also, our youths are, largely part of, activism, which is very important, as you can see in the case of Myanmar as well. Our youths have been part of different international day celebrations related to water as well. And finally, coming to my last point, I would like to, share my observation that I have developed in, working with these youth leaders, is that we have, very promising generation of young leaders, but promising young leaders, and we need to steer them in such a way, which is very important, that, they grow empathy towards the community. Because if they, don't grow empathy or, affinity towards the community, they happen to make the same mistakes that has been made by the earlier generations. So we need to take care of that and, make them connected to the community. So with this thing, I would like to conclude my presentation and would love to take any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nujat, for your interesting presentation. As being a lower basin, the way you are engaging a youth through a different platform, it is very, motivating for them. It's great to know that. With this, thank you very much for the presentation. This is really very great to know about the initiative that has been done in Ganga, Brahmaputra and Southern Basin. And with this, we have a special remarks from a youth basin ambassador, Miss Minnie Shali and Anu Bothra, who presented. Firstly, I would like to introduce Miss Minnie Shali, is currently pursuing her PhD in International Environmental Law and working as a guest faculty in Gautam Buddha International University, Uttar Pradesh. She has been a part of Winter School on Transboundary Water Governance. And she is a part of Youth Dialogue Series by Youth Basin Ambassador by TROSA. And another is Miss Anu Bothra, is a dynamic public health professional with a decade of experience working with various communities on prevailing health and nutrition issues. The floor is yours, ma'am. Please.
So, Manigi, are you starting?
Hello.
Good. Yeah, I can hear you. Good afternoon, everybody. So thank you so much for this opportunity. Today, me and my fellow YBA Manini would be giving a very brief presentation on the roles of youth in sustainable water governance. Next slide, please.
Sure. Hello.
Hello. Yes, Kishan, I can hear you. I think Manavi just got disconnected. So I'll share the presentation.
Okay, please.
Okay. Can you see my slides?
Yes, we can see you.
Thank you. So Marini and I would be presenting on the roles of youth in sustainable water governance. Here we will be covering two approaches. The first one is on human rights oriented or bottom-up approach to policy making. And the second one is on ecosystem orientation of governance. If Manini is connected, I will request Manini to take us through the human rights oriented or bottom-up approaches of policy making.
Anu,
she's not there. Okay.
She's there. She's there.
She's there. Okay, perfect.
Just
yeah.
Yeah. Just a moment. Miss Manini, can you hear us? I think there is some internet issue. You can continue.
Okay. So under the human rights-based approaches, the water resource governance leaves a long-lasting impact on the riverine communities. That, as we all are aware, and we have been discussing about this since this conference, the human rights of the local communities with special emphasis on youth population should be the focal point of the nation and regional policies of water resource governance, because youth are the present and youth are the future of the nation. So involving them into the key decision making is something very important to ensure the rights and the approaches are being maintained. So legal system across the world have attempted to implement environmental conservation by equating it with human rights of the local communities. And there have been various examples around this, like in New Zealand Parliament, there was a declaration of the Eureka National Park to be a juristic person capable of holding some rights in laws. There was a declaration on River Ganga and River Yamuna to be separated legal entity holding constitutional rights for safeguarding the population thriving on the water of the river. And this is an example from the Uttarakhand High Court and its state in India. Now, moving on to the next approach on ecosystem-oriented governance model. If you see that river system is an indivisible physical unit, and as such, its management should consider the maximum welfare of the whole community, irrespective of the political jurisdiction. So, if you look into the case of Transboundary River, the physical unity of the water makes it a shared natural resource, which creates an opportunity of cooperation between states. As per the UN General Assembly adopted a resolution 3129, and they accepted the concept of shared natural resource, and they highlighted and they declared the importance and urgency of safeguarding the conservation and exploitation of natural resources shared by two or more states by means of an effective system of cooperation. Thus, it is an obligation of a state with shared natural resource to consider its neighbor who are likely to be affected regarding the environmental consequences that may rise due to any of their interventions or lack of the same. If you look into the transboundary cooperation, it becomes...
No, sorry for the interruption. You can please enable your full screen.
I'm sorry.
Right corner.
Sorry.
Still not happening. Yes.
Sorry. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. If you look into the transboundary cooperation, the cooperation in the transboundary governance becomes very important to tackle issues like water pollution, illegal riverbeds mining, biodiversity loss, etc. And there are evidences, and the scholars have also established a connection between improper, unequitable, and unscientific water sharing arrangements and increased rates of pollution in River Ganga. This was a study taken by Mr. Basin in 2016. If now we focus more into this youth as a participant of transboundary governance, youth can contribute through community leadership in sensitizing and ensuring community ownership through continuous stakeholdership, engagement with government and the private sectors, and registering their voices on behalf of the community they represent for the sustainable transboundary water governance. And so the ongoing regional youth dialogue sets in examples of strengthening youth capacities for inclusions and integration into water plus strategies in local as well as multi-country contexts. With this, I would like to end end my part, and I hope Manini is able to join and she can give some of the closing remarks for the presentation.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Sorry for the inconvenience. There was some internet connectivity issue from my side.
Yeah.
So I would just like to express my gratitude towards the organizers of this conference, along with my fellow YBAs, who have helped me learn new aspects pertaining to natural resource governance whenever we get the chance to interact. And I would also like to thank Rural Women's Development and Unity Center along with TROSA for giving me the opportunity to give special remarks in the presence of so many esteemed water and human rights professionals present on this platform. So our presentation was mainly centered around two approaches of natural resource governance, that is human rights oriented approach, and the second one was the environmental, the transboundary environmental approach of natural resource governance, which Anu very appropriately highlighted. And I would just like to quote two case studies here. First case study is from the New Zealand Parliament, which has declared Tiu Urevara National Park to be a separate legal entity for the purpose of safeguarding the inhabitants. And the second example is from the Indian state of Uttarakhand. And in a very prominent judgment, the Uttarakhand High Court has declared that River Ganga and River Yamuna, they have separate legal entities in the eyes of the laws. And this has been done by the High Court so as to ensure that the local populations which are residing near the River Ganga and River Yamuna, their rights are safeguarded. So these two approaches, the human rights approaches along with the transboundary approach of natural resource governance, they are, alternative to the present day, functional international environmental law models, which are entirely centered upon the role of sovereign governments. And sovereign governments, whenever they are making law, they make law without taking into account, without taking into consideration what the local communities actually want. So these two approaches, which Anu has highlighted, they are the most appropriate alternatives for the existing regimes. So this is all from my side. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, Manini, for your presentation. Anu, you want to add something on this? You please unmute yourself. Please unmute yourself.
Yes, yeah. So with this, in order to supplement what Manini has already mentioned, I think with our attempt is to involve more youth in all the to make them more like an advocate, and to also in a way improve their capacities and improve their knowledge on the subject, so that they are aware about what is happening and they are aware about the unfolding future, and they can take the corrective action right now. So that's how I would like to end this. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, you both, for your very special remarks. Moving forward, moving forward to question answer round, open discussion. Let me check chat box. I request everyone to drop your question in the chat box. Please don't forget to mention name of presenter to whom you want to ask. There are a lot of questions were answered in chat box. I think that was already answered. The first question is from Anila Chaudhary to Mr. Sobit. Did you face any challenges while mobilizing youth? He has answered in the chat box. Now, second question is from Sarita. Hi, John. Can you elaborate how is your institution ensuring collaboration with external research institution for youth engagement, and also briefly on ideas of education youth on feminist approach? John, hello, John. Can you hear me? Already answered? Okay, thank you very much. Okay. This is from Mr. Rajan Subedi. Thank you for highlighting importance of youth engagement in transboundary water governance. Any recognition from the government regarding youth's engagement in transboundary water governance? Excited to hear an examples, if any. I think this is common question. Anyone can answer from the presenter. They can please. Okay, moving forward. Okay, from the next question is from Sarita. Great presentation by our youth patient ambassador Kesari, Anu and Manini. Can anyone of you or all suggest what are your plans to take forward the learnings on transboundary water and for future leadership? This is for Kesari ji, Anu ji and Manini ji. Please, I would like to request you to respond this. Kamalji, I request you to allow unmute, please. Some of our participants cannot unmute themselves. Can you please help me?
Yes, can I answer that?
Yes, yes, please.
Yes. So, very good question from Sarita ma'am. So, since I am also an environmental law teacher, and whatever laws we teach, they are completely focused upon, institutions, government machinery, etc. So, one way we can, involve youth-centric models into policy making is by, educating and sensitizing students and telling them that there are alternative mechanisms available. For instance, soft laws, which focus upon human rights. For instance, sustainable development goals. Sustainable development goals are based upon not just government machineries and sovereign authorities. They are also focused upon society, economic factors, traditional knowledge, etc. So one way can be, by promoting sustainable development goals and other soft law instruments.
Thank you very much for
Thank you,
responding.
Manini.
Yeah, adding to the Manini's, and thank you, Sarita ma'am, for the question. Yeah, as we are working on the roadmap action on the water pollution, youth perception on water pollution, and also on the international policies as well as domestic policies of the water pollution management. If the situation of the COVID pandemic will favor us after a time, then we want to disseminate our work on the community level.
Thank you very much, Kesari ji. Okay, thank you very much everyone for your question, and thank you everyone for responding. This is from Sovit. Manini and Anu, please elaborate a bit on what it means for the rivers to have rights. Who acts on their behalf in case of violation of the rights? This is for Manini and Anu. Can you please respond on this?
Yes, sure. So the petition which was filed before the Uttarakhand High Court, it was a public interest litigation, and a public spirited individual filed this petition. So the idea was to implement Article 21, that is right to life, in a manner that the river rights are getting protected. And because fundamental rights and human rights are only applicable in case of human beings. So technically speaking, Article 21 doesn't have any application on river. But the interpretation of Article 21 was done in such a manner that water pollution related issues were getting covered. So by granting a legal entity to River Ganga and River Yamuna, the idea was to protect the rights of the communities which are dependent on the river water and the natural resources which come out of the river. So the such petitions are usually filed by public spirited people on behalf of the people who are suffering because of water pollution related issues. Thank you.
Thank you very much for responding this. Mr. John has shared something on John Bright Youth Water Engagement .pdf. I think he shared his presentation on the chat box. If you want, you can take this from the chat box. This is my presentation. Okay, thank you very much, John and everyone. Thank you very much, everyone, for this wonderful session. Now, moving forward, I would like to request Mr. Jyotiraj Patra for his closing remarks.
Hi, Kishan, can you hear me?
Yes, Raj, I can hear you.
Great. So thank you, everyone, for this wonderful session. And I would like to thank all the presenters, particularly our youth basin ambassadors, Keshri, Manini, and Anu, for all your insightful remarks and also sharing those experiences, and particularly for highlighting the need for more rights-based approach while talking about youth engagement. And the presentations from India, Myanmar, and Bangladesh all clearly highlighted ways through which more youth could be engaged in regional water cooperation issues. And in all the three presentations, including those from Manini and Anu, you clearly highlighted the entry points for youth engagement. And I think whether it's river erosion in Bangladesh or water quality and information in India, and the human rights issues which Manini and Anu you highlighted, I think these are useful entry points. And I think this is going to highlight ways also from the Dollar Lake case, which John presented in terms of how to engage youth in biodiversity documentation and research, particularly the case from the Salween Peace Park. So these are all examples which clearly highlight how we can mobilize more youth engagement and participation through these kind of entry points. So I think this is something for all of us to consider as we move forward, particularly the questions and answer sessions. I think in terms of how, in spite of all these challenges, particularly shrinking civic space in many of the countries and basins that we work in, we can identify innovative ways, particularly digital activism and stuff like that, through which
I request everyone to mute yourself, please. That's, you can continue.
Yeah. Thanks, Kishan. So I think that's this session clearly highlighted some of the experiences from TROSA, through which we can mobilize more young people's participation in regional water cooperation issues, but also tackling those issues at the local level, particularly the point which Nuzat highlighted, more empathy and connectivity with the rural or the riverine communities. And I think that's very critical for us in the whole program to understand and explore how we can better support some of those engagement initiatives. I think this is very useful session, and it provided the background, a lot of experiences and examples from different basins. And as we move into the next sessions, it will help us further connect those dots and see how we can better mobilize and improve the youth engagement. And I think one thing which Razan asked in the Q&A, I think he wanted to know more about how governments recognize the role of the youth water cooperation and water governance issues. And I think that's something we can explore a bit more. The other thing I wanted to highlight is the scope to have more engagement with the private sector, and in terms of water governance issues. And as you all know, that's one of the major focus of the TROSA program. So I would encourage all the participants here to further explore and identify ways through which such youth-led engagements could also take place with the private sector for more water stewardship initiatives at the local or at the national or regional level. With this, I would like to thank Kisan, Rajan, and the whole team, and particularly our partner Ruduk, for organizing this timely international seminar as we move into the International Youth Day, which is, I think, on the 12th. this gives really good context for us to amplify and highlight the work being done by the youth, all across the basins that we work in. So I would like to thank you and look forward to the follow-up sessions. Thank you, Kisan, and over to you.
Thank you very much, Ras, for your closing remarks. With this, this is end of the session. We have 5 minutes break. Later, after 5 minutes, we have another very interesting session on feminist leadership in transboundary water governance, role and responsibility. With this, take care, everyone. Bye-bye.